Joe Rogan and Alex Jones have been having an ongoing feud where Alex Jones will dedicate big chunks of his show to talking about Joe, and then Joe has responded to Alex Jones, I believe once or twice at this point, and it's just kind of been going back and forth at this point. I've already done 2 videos about this because this has been going on back and forth for a little bit. So for some context, basically, I guess Alex Jones and Joe Rogan have known each other for a very long time, but after Alex Jones was banned off of basically every platform in existence, he was supposed to be scheduled for, I believe, in like late October to come on the podcast, and Alex says he viewed that as the perfect place to explain everything that happened, and it just never came to fruition for whatever reason it may be. He never went on the podcast for whatever reason, and so Alex Jones was not pissed about that, as the least that's what he claims, but I'm sure that definitely hurts him deep. But what Alex Jones says really hurts him is that Joe Rogan, quote unquote, goes on his stupid show and says George Soros talking points. That's basically a verbatim quote from Alex Jones. He says that, Joe Rogan goes on his stupid show and he spews George Soros talking points, which George Soros talking points against Alex Jones means verbatim quoting what he said. That's what that means. And we're going to look at Alex Jones responding to Joe Rogan once again. It's going to be a bit interesting. Go ahead and check it out.
All these Jack Dorsey companies, Twitter, and he doesn't tell people it's that. And it's like George Soros stuff. And then he's on air like George Soros talking points every day. And then saying Alex Jones is lying. I'm not giving out any George Soros talking points, but Media Matters says Alex Jones did this. That's literally George Soros. So I realized the way they're pushing him and all this, that CNN has no viewers. Joe has 10 million viewers, average podcast. Bigger podcast, like the one I was on, 45, 50 million people. So he's not deplatformed. I am. And then he wants to sit there while I'm tied up in the corner, they think. We're still reaching a lot of people. Those that really count, those that are tuned in and really care, he tries to shut me down. So, Joe, this is not satire. Joe did call me last night a couple times. I had the phone off and got the messages in the morning. And I don't really think there's anything for me and Joe to talk about. Joe's like, I apologize to you yesterday if I hurt your feelings or didn't have you on, but you're in a bad place and you're mentally ill. And I don't even have time to watch it all. I guess he's done hours on this, but he's like, yeah, Jones is insane. He claims, do you think, because Joe goes, God, he's an incredible writer, though. He comes up with amazing stuff better than Stephen King. No, dude, I didn't come up with any of it. I didn't come up with Cortez booing Trump when he said we were going to stop sex slavery. I didn't come up with them saying we keep babies alive and take their organs on TV, man. The governor of Virginia. I got freaked out about it, JoJo. So you sit there and maybe you're out there in your LA cocoon with your head up your culo. But I mean, dude, I don't just say this stuff. They want me off the air to shut down the exposure of what they're into. It's an anti-child devil cult. When I learned that it was in WikiLeaks, the devil worship, like, oh my God, that the pizza place is a diversion, like a mockingbird saying its wings broken, nothing. And they go, oh, there's no pedophilia in the world. Jones admits he's fake. We can't have him on air. Joe, I don't want on your stupid show, dude. I produce Loose Change that before they took the view counter down had 187 million views on Google Video. 187 million views, Joe. Back when you were eating donkey testicles on Fear Factor. And I made all these other films, hundreds of millions of views, billions and billions of views everywhere. I don't, please have me on. Please, Joe. Joe's like, we may have you on if you're good and sit down and you're good. Oh, let me sit then. Do I get a treat? Dude, you weren't on my radar. When you pulled all this, you went tracking radar, enemy assessed, targeting operations, enemy propaganda vehicle, destroy with extreme prejudice. Like you just literally just got the program. Like it's like destroy. Headquarters. Destroy. Enemy. Key enemy. Maximum commitment. Prime target. Attack. Because, you see, it's not just that you're on the higher echelon evil. You're almost there. But you are a good pickings. You're cleared to fire, Joe. What that means is you're dead in my sights, son. So this isn't about men acting tough to men and me scaring you and those stuff. You need to know, as a sneaky snake, what I'm going to do. So I joked around earlier and I said Joe Rogan is going to be on the show today. And then, of course, I said it was satire. He'll spin it and say, Alex lied and said I'd be on. I wasn't. It's a lie. But you won't show the clip because that's what sneaky snakes do. So if you're a TV viewer, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Rogan is now in studio with us. And let's do a document cam shot closer here, please. He's going to be interviewed. So it's like, hey, George Soros was on 60 Minutes and said he supported the Nazis. No, he didn't. George Soros cut Hitler's head off. I'm a sneaky snake. I mean, this is what it is. Because here's the deal. If you paid Joe enough money, if you're Cash Square and Jack Dorsey, which is all confirmed, it's all over the news now, the insider trading investigation is going on. If you pay him, if you put coins into the snake, then the snake does whatever you want. Oh, thanks, Alex. Oh, yeah. I'm a sneaky snake now. So, again, if you're a TV viewer, this is not really Joe Rogan. This is so that'll be the headline tonight. Like Alex Jones claimed Joe Rogan was on. He really wasn't on. Jones engaged in incredible fake news. So, do we have Snake Farm queued up? All right, let's go out to break with Snake Farm. I like the other song, but I think this is actually Joe's official song. And so Joe thought that, he was with the establishment, and I didn't see what he was doing. But Joe, I don't really think you realized what was happening. Jiu-jitsu master. I don't think the jiu-jitsu master understood what was happening. So when we come back, we're going to get to Sneaky Snake. But the good news is, seriously, New Men's Attire 2020 apparel is going to be this. Like, forget the boa. I mean, this is like absolutely incredible. When we come back, I'll get serious and take more of your phone calls, and Roger Stone's going to take over. But, I just had to talk about this. I just had to do this because I can't keep track of everything. And my listeners were mad at me about Joe Rogan. Like, aren't you hearing what he's doing? Aren't you? And I was like, no, I'm busy doing stuff. I've only got 20 years. And then I see his responses back. It's the condescension of Joe. Like, Joe, oh, I'm sorry, Alex. I want to be your friend. Maybe you can come on the show. Just be nice and stop. Dude, I didn't start attacking you because I wanted to get on your stupid show. You know how many times I've turned down 40 million in Bitcoin and $1 million a month in Bitcoin, and it's like, what planet are you on? Not for sale, man. You see my ass right here? You see this? I've never broke it or sold it out to anybody. To quote Tony Montana, there's two things I don't break, and that's my word and my balls. And so Joe's this new Silicon Valley darling because they've compromised him. I don't know what. And then he misrepresents everything. He's like, we'll go back to your calls. Alex Jones says I'm in the CIA and he's a liar. Joe, I didn't say you were in the CIA. I said the entire group around you pushing DMT and ayahuasca, you can look up their names. They're involved in DARPA and major research projects of the CIA on record. We bibliographed all that. So don't change the subject, Joe. And then he gets into his next big lie. And his next big lie. Oh, Alex lied about me. He said that my family got threatened a few years ago, and that's why I sold out. But that never happened. And, in that, there's a kernel of truth. Because Eddie Bravo at dinner a couple of years ago, after I'd already been on Joe's podcast, was like, I'll tell you, I think he got threatened. He got threatened, and he hangs out with these professors and these weirdos. And blah, blah, blah. So I go in there and I say, I think Joe's family's been threatened. He goes, oh, my family didn't get threatened. No, no, no. And I'm like, okay, Eddie Bravo didn't say they got threatened. Eddie says it's that he thought you got threatened. And that turns into this whole thing about, I don't have Alex on. Alex isn't the captain of the football team, or Alex isn't the class president. Alex isn't invited to wear the sweater over his shoulders and tie it together, a little ascot, because he's a liar. I'm going to explain this to you again, Joe. I'm not coming after you because you didn't have me on your stupid podcast. Like, I've already been on everything. It's a joke. I'm pissed at you because when I started looking into you, when people said, why are you leaving this guy alone? And I was like, everywhere I looked, there's like it's like, I go, let me spot check this. Oh my God, that's the worst. Oh my God, that's like, I look over here like, oh, that's even worse. I go, well, let me just randomly check over here. Oh my gosh, it's even worse. I mean, it's like, I like zoom in just to spot check what you're up to. And every time I tune in, it's like the Satan channel or something. And I don't mean the Satan channel like hot cheerleaders and shooting guns. Woo, woo, woo. No, that's what the devil would have you believe. That's God's channel. God's channel is like women and kids and life and spaceships and awesome crap and everything. And like, you know, and the devil's like, oh, I did that. I gave you your wife or your husband. I'm the author of all those good things. That's what's frustrating about this. Is that I don't want to be in LA. I don't want to be part of the system. And then there's this one person I know is part of it for whatever weird twist of fate over 20 years. And then, you know, I witnessed stuff from Joe that I would never even say on air. That is just outrageous. I mean, no wonder Joe doesn't have a lot of people around him. Because if you get close to Joe, I mean, you actually get in a hotel room with him at 6 a.m. in Las Vegas, you know, it's a little something different. And, you know, me, I'm like, hey, well, you know, here's the deal, son. You know, I don't think I'm going to be able to stop and not say all this stuff. You know what? Here's the problem. Here's the reason I've held back. If you go buy a Christmas turkey you're going to cook, you got to cook it right. You know what I mean? It's kind of like got to have some presentation to it. There's got to be some presentation to the cooking of the turkey and everything else. And so here it is. You think I want to be part of your system when I want to burn you down. And your bosses have figured that out. Like, Alex Jones is not for sale. Just, it's already sold out. I signed on to the big command base, right? Oh, my God. I'm signed on to that. I'm just lucky I made the cut. I mean, I brushed up against people like you so much, I can't believe I'm dirty rags. I can't believe God even accepts me. I'm really lucky to be on the team. Let me just tell you that. And I'm counting on it every moment that God says, you attack these people and you take it to them all the way. Maybe I let you be with us. I'm like, yes, sir. Please take full control of me. And God goes, I don't do that. You're going to have to do this. And I'm just like, okay. So you're all trying to take DMT and get in contact with little floating retard demons from the pit of hell. And I just want you to know, Joe, that there's a whole nother dimension and then on from that. And you're just not making the cut, Joe. I mean, do you really think at higher dimensions you see Joe Rogan walking around? You know, maybe he's got platform shoes that go up to the next dimension, like elevators. I mean, when you're walking around heaven on a big command base and you're like, oh, my God, I wish I had known this. You're like, yeah, get in the field. We've got a huge attack coming in. I mean, imagine when you get to the next level and you're like, oh, my God, I had no idea it was, oh, yeah. Can you imagine, like, looking back on Hollywood and looking back on these losers and looking back? It's going to be a joke. We're going to say, that almost defeated us? That's what we almost sold out to? Like bugs to a bug zapper flying out to Los Angeles to bzz, 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 bzz. So if we all present our butt to the devil properly, he might decide to mount us. There you go. You know, Mueller and all these guys take themselves so seriously. There you go. Can't even do it properly. It's like everything's backwards. Just get a little treat. And then, yeah. So this is all about defiling their gods. It's all about burning bridges. Because God wants us. I know there's no God. The first message of the devil worshiper is there is no God, because they don't want you to know there's an escape. They don't want you to know there's a bridge. They don't want to know there's this whole beautiful thing right there. Like, oh, it doesn't exist. There's no hope. No, there is nothing but hope. But the devil tells you there's no God and then sneaks up so he can pretend it's God. You have to accept God. You have to say, God, I'm weak, but I love you, and I want free will, and I have free will. And I want you to come in and take control. And I want to then carry out the mission. Not to get a bigger house or a jet airplane, but to engage people like this at point blank range.
So as you guys heard there, apparently he said that Joe Rogan called him a few times, but it went to a missed call because I don't know if Alex didn't see the calls or if he purposely didn't answer. But he said, it went to his voicemail and he got the messages. And he basically said that, my understanding was he said that Joe said that he apologized and that he can come on the show if he's good or something like that, which is kind of weird. But that seemed to anger Alex Jones even more, because Alex Jones has continuously proclaimed, and vociferously so, and he will continue to do so, that him appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast is entirely irrelevant to his rebuttals and what he's been saying, and he's going to continue to say that basically his problem with Joe Rogan is rather his George Soros talking points that he's been reciting on his podcast. And again, I want to repeat that when he says George Soros talking points, all that simply means is verbatim quoting what he says. So we all know about the horrifying things that Alex Jones has done and said, whether it be about, what happened with Sandy Hook or like literally any conspiracy theory ever existed in all of, human history. Literally anything will happen and just boom, conspiracy theory right off the bat. Very easy, like real quick, real fast. So they're clearly not on good terms. What was funny in there is that like he brought in the little snake. So he's calling Joe Rogan a snake. Now, what that basically means and that entails is, he says something to you in front of your face, and to you he says something, and then he goes behind your back. And I think that there's actually like a second definition for the term snake if you look at it on Google, which is like deceptive activity or something like that, or having deceptive characteristics. And that's what's used to describe Kevin Durant, because he is a snake. But that is somewhat interesting. The whole Cash App thing and Jack Dorsey. That Jack Dorsey podcast, by the way, was a really big backfire. It is at like 60,000, 70,000 plus dislike and 10K likes. So, like I said, nobody likes Jack Dorsey. And that just pissed off a lot of the people who are AJ fans and really everybody. It wasn't really just AJ fans. It was really everybody, because no one really likes that guy. And Joe Rogan had to make his own response to it, addressing it because of all of the backlash and hatred that he received due to that podcast. And so he was like, I think he said that Jack Dorsey offered to come back on to clear questions that he didn't answer previously. And the questions that Jack Dorsey was asked by Joe Rogan that seemed to be the ones that the people who are AJ fans and Joe Rogan fans wanted answered, he was like deceptively, like purposely not answering it. So like, for example, when asked, hey, why was Alex Jones banned? Like, why did you ban Alex Jones? I believe his response was straight up like, I don't know. Like, and I think Joe Rogan followed up by saying like, oh, what were the specific violations? And Jack Dorsey's response was just a straight up, I don't know. It's like, what? How do you not know? You're the CEO. You're the one who obviously came down the hammer. Remember, Twitter was the last man to defend Alex Jones. I think Jack even came out with his own specific tweet on Twitter where he was like, oh, we're trying to keep all ideologies here. And he was defending Alex after he had already gotten removed from Spotify. He was already banned from YouTube, banned from Facebook. He was banned from everywhere, even probably the App Store at that point. I don't know. The App Store might have came after Twitter. But Twitter was like the last man standing. And Alex, for some reason, went and trolled Jack Dorsey. I don't know why. It's like, dude, Why are you harassing the guy who's the only guy who left you up? I don't understand that. And so it was a weird podcast, to be honest. And Jack just seems kind of like a weird guy, or just boring. But the answer, forget that. Just the answers he was giving didn't really seem legit. If anything, I think that's like an objective thing everyone can agree on. So when you're asked, "Hey, why was AJ banned?" and your response is, "I don't know," that's bullshit. You do know. Why are you, being evasive and not answering? And I think the descriptive word that the adjective that Joe Rogan used was he was evasive. So he out and out says that too. But is the fence between Alex Jones and Joe Rogan, mendable at this point? I really don't know at this point in time. It honestly doesn't look like it. I think previously I had stated that they're probably not going to mend the fences and kind of become friends again. But honestly, man, I really have no idea at this point. This seems to be getting a little out of hand. But just remember that in the beginning, when I was talking about this, Alex always prefaced his attacks on Joe Rogan and his rebuttals with, I don't want to do this. It pains me to do this. I have a sense of loyalty, a feeling of loyalty that I want to maintain because I used to be. And I guess they go back like a long time. And Alex Jones is now saying they're involved in like a CIA operation in Austin or something like that. It has to do with DMT and whatnot. It's those typical loony stuff from Alex Jones, right? But anyways, are they going to mend the fences? Are they going to come back together? I have no idea, but make sure to let me know down below in the comment section.